Amongst the Sufis, and especially amongst the Turks and Afghans, there is the character of the Mullah Nasreddin.
Yes.
Who has been used by the Sufis as a way of teaching mental flexibility and for the amusement of others. The Mullah has known in many stories for pithy statements bringing people back to reality from flights of politeness and pomposity and other such things to get in the way of actually perceiving what's really around one and so on. As you might imagine, this did not endear him to many in his community. He had his friends. He'd get together and gossip over coffee in the mornings, or maybe the occasional trip over to the steam showers, the steam baths. And but there was a group of young boys who knew that, if they could score off the mullah, that would give them a bit of fame for years to come, because he'd been pretty sharp with all their elders. So they made a plan. They knew the day the mullah was most likely going to be going for a regular trip to the steam baths. And so that morning they got together and they made their way there with towels in their hands. And while they were on their way, they're watching along the road. Each one finds, sooner or later, a stone. As round as they could find, something about this size. They tucked carrying bags, moved along, and when they got to the steam bath, sure enough, the mullah was there waiting to go in. And they said hello, and he said hello back, and he was a bit mystified because he was not used to seeing young boys at the steam baths, at least not at the same time as he was. But okay, what is what it is. And they were permitted inside and escorted to the proper room and water tossed on the hot stones and so on. And as they're sitting there warming up and talking about what the kind of things are going on, the boys' classes, and what's going on elsewhere in town, and anything else that might come up in conversation. And all of a sudden one of the boys just sits real quiet. And he looks at the mullah and he goes, he reaches under the towel and pulls out, well, it looks like an egg. And he sets it beside him. And the mullah looks, and the other boys are like, that's like nothing strange happening. So the mullah says, okay, yeah. And they start to chat a bit, and soon one of the other boys straightens up, and he goes, and he reaches under his towel, and he pulls out, it looks like an egg, and he sits beside him. Third boy, all of a sudden, his under, and he pulls out from under his towel, and pulls out what looks like an egg, and he sets it beside him. And all three boys then looked very intently at the mullah. And he looked back. What's he going to do? Then he stuck out his chest. That's the wisdom of the Mullah Nasreddin.